This episode is sponsored by TornSports.com, and I've got a lovely pair of sliders here. Every footballer's dream. What else do they do, Lou?
They do grip socks, all heights. So,
Nice.
they've got the ankle ones. And they actually do, I don't know, the footballers' trend these days is where they have the little cut in the back of their match day socks.
Yeah.
So they do them as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they do plenty of different socks and obviously sliders. So.
That's sick. Yeah, these sliders are very nice. If you want to grab yourself anything, head over to TornSports.com and get yourself something nice.
Right, Kem, we'll talk about Arsenal now.
Yeah.
So more drop points. We drew to Villa at home. For me, I'm just looking at it, I'm thinking, like, what are we doing? It's just another drop points, another chance to catch Liverpool. I know they got the result in the end, but it's just like we're just not helping ourselves. And for me, the lack of squad is showing now.
Yeah, I have no doubt it really just comes down to the injuries and lack of squad depth, because
we scored 2 goals.
We scored 2 goals, yeah, and we should have seen that game out. And the Arsenal of last season just sees like, it's not throwing that game away once you're 2-0 up anyways. So, yeah, it's getting to a point where clearly the confidence is lacking, but that's literally just because if everyone was fit, though, that's not like about 3 or 4 of those players aren't playing or starting in those positions anyways. So,
yeah, like Thomas Partey at right back was... like, he was pretty much at fault, solely at fault for one of the goals. Yeah. It's a prime example of a midfielder who's playing, or someone who's not a defender playing in defensive line. Like, the whole defence has stepped out sort of one step. Everyone else has sort of held their position and held the line, and he's just kept going. Lapse of concentration and amateur, really, at that level to just leave your man.
Yeah, literally. And I mean, you look at it and you kind of question... We've got a lot of players playing out of position. You look at the Villa game, you had Partey at right back, Timber at centre back, so that's clearly makeshift. And there's still the debate as to whether Havertz is an out-and-out striker. So you've potentially got 3 players that are doing a job in a role. I don't know if you can really win a league with that many players.
As well as our other top players out as well.
Plus that.
Ben White, Saka.
So, like, it's tough. Like, you need, realistically, players that excel in each position, or at least 7 or 8 of the positions on the pitch. Like, players that you're like, yeah, he's a top right back, he's a top centre back, he's a top centre forward. We're currently struggling with that, with the injuries. And, I mean, I think the club can do something about it. I mean, we are in a transfer window at the moment. I know January's a small window and people don't necessarily want to spend big, but if you're on a mission... and you know that there's 4 months left of the season, and if you double down on maybe 2 players that can come in and help you, you have a real chance of winning the league. I don't see why you won't. Like, to me, it's madness, because it's like, okay, what? You just go again next season. Next season, City will be back. You'd predict Liverpool aren't going to go anywhere. You'd expect Chelsea to get better. So then the competition becomes like we'd have to get. Like the Arsenal, you'd have to get better anyways just to stay in the conversation. Whereas now it's like City have kind of out of it. Chelsea, okay, but again, nowhere near title challenging. They might be next season, but not right now. So then you think you've got Liverpool there. They're not running away with it. They've got a comfy lead ahead of us, but if we go on one of those Manchester City runs where you just go and win, I reckon you close the gap.
But it's obvious we're not going to do that with this squad.
That's clear. So,
action needs to happen.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like
I'm changing my tune a bit with Havertz.
Yeah.
Just because, again, the game on the weekend against Villa, we scored 2 goals. He wasn't necessarily at fault for why we lost.
Yeah.
But I know there's been loads of scrutiny, and again, I'm now thinking. He's not the striker who's going to win us Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues if he doesn't have world-class wingers either side of him. Because he's not someone who's going to create a chance by himself or make a goal out of nothing. He's someone that needs a lot of service to then put the ball away.
Yeah, literally that. And I don't know, man. For me, I said it in the summer. I've said it all season. I like him. I think he's a good player. But for me, he's just kind of a very good player to have in your squad because he's versatile. Like, it's rare to see a player that can play as an 8, as a 9, as a 10, and give you an all right shift. But that sounds to me like jack of all trades and a master of none, really. Like, is he a master in any of those positions? We don't particularly like him as an 8.
Yeah.
We don't really play with any 10s. And as a 9, literally what you're just saying now, like, I mean, you look at the game at the weekend and you're like, Villa have Watkins and Duran at their disposal. You know, Watkins scored the goal. They take him off. They put Duran on. Like, they've got 2 strikers for me that are better than our striker, and they can just decide, yeah, he can come off and he can come. We don't even have anyone to bring on for Havertz. Like, anyone.
I mean, we didn't have any attacking options to bring on for anyone. Like, Sterling doesn't even count for me.
So, you know, that kind of squad
Would you
depth,
take both of them over Havertz?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would. I mean, Watkins is proven as a very good Prem striker. He's had a number of seasons now where he's scored goals regularly, even for England. I think the attributes he has, defenders will fear. He scores against us every time. Do you know what I mean? And we have, on paper, if you're a striker, that's probably the worst centre-back pairing or centre-backs to play against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But he seems to score against us every time. And then John Duran's benching Ollie Watkins at the moment. I know at the weekend, since the red card, Watkins has got back in the team, but Duran's done something to bench him, and that's basically been unplayable in this season. Whenever he's come off the bench or whenever he started, he just always scores. So you look at both of them and you're like, those are centre forwards that you can bet on they're going to score most games, and they can create goals for themselves out of nowhere.
They definitely got that over Havertz, and they're a proper out-and-out number 9. But is it as simple as we just get a better striker and we start clicking even more? Because we did score 2 goals at the weekend. And also, we'd have to change our style. Like, our style now, which we've had for a while with Havertz, he's very important and in the hub of sort of our link-up play and our press. Whereas if we get an Ollie Watkins, the link-up play will be different. Same with Duran, if we get like an out-and-out number 9. Yes, they can create chances more off their own back. But we'd have to sort of change our style. So I don't think it's going to be like an automatic, easy fit where, right, a better striker comes in, we're going to score more goals. There might be some teething period, is what I'm saying.
Of course, yeah, of course. For me, it's just you got to try something and see. I think you're right. It could work. Like the striker could just come and hit the ground running, and then you're laughing. And he might not. It might take 3 or 4 games to adapt, and then he gets going. But
that's what the fans want.
Either way, you sort of give a message to the fans that we're not just letting this season fizzle out. We're gonna do everything we can to be competitive. And if we go and buy a striker and it doesn't work, no one can say you didn't try it. Whereas at the moment, it's like, well, right, we can see that this squad isn't closing that gap. Are you just accepting that? If you do nothing, that's an acceptance of this squad can't really close that gap. It'll be some miracle if they do, and if they don't, oh well.
Yeah.
And I think that is very frustrating for fans.
Yeah, for me, if we don't sign anyone this January, that is an acceptance from Arsenal Football Club that we don't want to try and challenge for this title, because they know full well if we don't sign anyone, the squad we have, the available fit squad we have, isn't going to catch Liverpool. No way. So if they genuinely want to have a proper go at it and stop hoping that things just click, we need to sign someone, and it needs to sign a statement signing.
Yeah.
If they choose to wait in the summer, that's them making that conscious decision that, right,
we're going again next season.
We're going again next season.
And that's my problem with that. It's like there's no guarantees, because next season, if City get back to their best, which I'm sure they will, Pep staying, Haaland, like
they've come out of hibernation. They've won 6-0.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose for the rest of the season. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens.
Yeah. Plus, they've shown intent that, you know, it's not like Pep's going next year and all that. Like, if he was going, then there's another conversation. He's staying. The core of their team staying. So they're going to be back. They're going to spend money and be back. Liverpool aren't going anywhere. Arnie's just come. He's proven that, you know, they're not going to have that sort of, time to get back to their best after Klopp leaving. They've hit the ground running straight away. They're going to be there. Chelsea are a young team who are showing potential this year. They're going to be right there again next year. So why wait till next season where the competition's going to be super hard, whereas you know for the next 4 months there's a target there, there's one team to catch. Let's have a crack at it. Let's just have a crack at it. So I don't know, man. I know football's not as easy. We've said it before ourselves. It's not career mode, but at the same time, doing nothing.
At least show the fans, give them something to see that you're trying something. Like we're going for these. Like you mentioned it, West Ham.
Yeah.
Just put a bid in for, what was it? How much was the bid?
It put £57 million bid in for Duran, and I look at that, and
West Ham,
I can't believe it, because I'm like,
West Ham
I
are
respect
bidding
it
more
from
than
West Ham, but I'm like, so what? West Ham, who are struggling, have recently sacked their manager, can look at Villa, who are doing all right, and say, we're going to put money behind and get your striker. Obviously, they rejected the bid, but then I look at it from Arsenal's perspective and say, okay, cool. If we go in with West Ham, we should be able to outbid West Ham and also tempt the player to come
more
to
attractive club to go to.
Of course, it's not even a question. So why don't you go, okay, 57, they've rejected. Let's put another 10 or 15 million on that and have a real conversation about whether we can sign him. Like, he's a top striker who's 20 or 21. Like, I really don't understand why those kind of conversations aren't happening. Is it because you've got other targets that you might want in the summer, or like? But again, it's just looking at the future. Again, there's no guarantees.
Shall I tell you what I think it is? I reckon, people say like, oh, you need something to go. You need to be in a bad place for you to make to like pick yourself up and make change. I think we're almost in that limbo stage where we're still doing all right. We're second in the league or third, wherever we are. Like, we're still got hopes of the title. So it's not like, right, let's make drastic changes, when really we do need that to progress on. If we were, say, 5th or 6th, or like you said with West Ham, they're on terrible form.
Yeah,
they know, right, we need to sign someone big here
but
to
that's
make a change.
disappointing for me, because it's like,
we're almost too close to the top to warrant, it's a must do.
But that's when it's about how ruthless are you and how determined are you, because Chelsea, whenever they've had their successful periods, were that ruthless in terms of, we got a good squad, but we're going to just go and get this guy because he's going to improve us. City have done that. They won the league for however many years and went and signed Haaland. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't need him.
Or maybe,
and they just went and done it. And it's like, I know we're not City or Chelsea in terms of we'll spend billions to improve a squad, but every now and then we did it with Rice, and that was good. But that was 18 months ago. You can't
just keep holding on to that.
You can't hold on to that. Like,
Football
he's come in,
evolves,
he's
man.
Improved us, but
he's been so good
again.
for us, by the way.
He's been unreal. We need to improve again, and not in the same area, in the front line. So do it again, man.
Does Arteta just think Havertz is the one somehow?
Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks that, because he's signed him.
Like, but I mean, even regardless of that,
about the other day, because what were we talking about? We were saying about how transfers, like, managers, it's not necessarily the manager's fault. The board might not be back.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that come into it.
And says he went and signed Havertz, and it's like, well, people can fail signings. Like, signings can fail.
Yeah,
they don't always work. Like, he saw something in Havertz, and I wouldn't even call that a failed signing, but you could argue that that's too much money.
We've become over and rely on him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's one of, in my opinion, Arteta's mistakes, because I don't see how you signed a player that a year later or a year and a half later we're still saying we need to improve on with even more money that costs 65 million. If he was 30 million, it's like, oh yeah, take him. It's a good player for that. But 65 million is not cheap. If we make a 65 million pound bid right now for Duran, that could succeed, or you could be a couple million off. So why did we do that for someone that we now need to replace anyway?
Yeah. I know, and I mean, he brought him in as an 8, and it probably failed.
That's the problem. And sorry, that's not the problem, but that's what happened, and you can't really blame him for that, because he saw something and wanted to try it. Like, not every signing will work, and we've seen it with every club. Like, signings fail, and that's part of football. But then you do have to correct it. You can't fail a signing and then sort of say, okay, well, we're just going to run this into the ground and make sure it works.
Yeah,
that's like basically what it looks like he's doing.
Yeah, it's a bit like naive to the fact that it's not worked, maybe.
Yeah, almost maybe a bit too
proud.
Yeah, not dropping the ego and wanting to say, okay, no, I got that one wrong. Right, and he's like, no, I'm going to make sure this works. Yeah,
and even away from like the just Havertz, like if we are keeping him, we then need 2 world-class wingers, one Saka back, and we need another one on the wing to supply him, because like you said, he can't create on his own.
Yeah, I do think, I think we need that. But in terms of like, for a late title charge, what do you think would be the place you'd improve on? I think, let's say for next season, you'd need a striker and another winger anyways.
We definitely,
but like we're in January, you've got a week left. if
For
you're going to
me-
have a big title charge, which
For me,
position
I'd go striker.
Yeah.
I think Trossard and Martinelli give us more at the moment than what Havertz is giving us, and we're getting Saka back in 2 months. So I again, it depends on which players you're throwing at me. But if they're both of the same
If
caliber,
you're saying that, yeah,
I'm going number 9.
Yeah, I agree. Because like,
it'll just it'll give some energy to the team as well, man. A different dynamic of someone who can run in behind, who can create something,
yeah,
instead of sort of being that player who's just there.
yeah, like
As bad as that sounds.
he can like, fight with defenders a bit, link up and that. But it's like, is he scary? Is he running in?
I'd love to
behind
play
and
against Havertz as a centre half.
Yeah, of course. Like,
Bully him.
he will work tirelessly against you. But centre halves don't really
Care
mind
about
being that. They're happy to go toe to toe on that. They don't want to deal with someone that's gonna run in behind them all game long, or someone that's movement is dangerous. Like they're gonna lose you with their movement, and he doesn't do that.
He's not losing anyone with his
Do you know
movement.
what I mean? So it's like I don't know, man. Like, it's not the type of striker you're terrified to.
He might beat you in the air once.
Yeah, once in a while. You're not losing sleep over the fact that you got to play against Havertz the next day.
No,
I
not
think
at all.
if we can bring in a striker that creates that sense of fear, I think Martinelli and Trossard between them, and with Saka coming back not in a few weeks, you'd have a chance.
Yeah.
You'd have a real chance.